Stop them. Take your time, Wall. Good job.
I'm a fucking beast!
Target spotted, Sheriff.
Infamous Trickster Gaming.
What is happening, agents? This is your boy Infamous Trickster bringing you another video today. And for this one, we're going to go into one of the specific skills that I feel is very underrated. As you guys saw in the intro video, it is very overpowered if used properly. Now, primarily the skill is used for CC. It doesn't do any damage per se itself. So, the skill that we're talking about today is the Firefly Blinder. So this is what it looks like here. Alright. So, let's break it down here. So we're looking at the Blinder Firefly skill. The Blinder Firefly skill blinds enemies that it passes over, causing them to be unable to function at full combat effectiveness. So it applies a blind status effect on affected targets. So the cooldown that we've got on here, we're looking at 37.2 seconds. It can blind up to a maximum of 10 targets. Health is at 663,000. The speed is at 3.10. The blind duration is at 20.8 seconds. And PvP blind duration is at 8.3 seconds. Now the blind duration here is huge. 20 seconds for you to just lay down damage on any enemies that come in your area. Alright. So, of course, we got this at tier 6. Now the speed on here goes up to 210%. And the blind effect duration is 120%. So this build that we base around the Firefly is a status effect build. Okay, so most, or if not all, of my gear pieces have status effect on it. Now let's get into what I've got equipped. Okay, so right now I'm rocking the named rifle Everlasting Gaze, and the reason why, perfect perpetuation. So headshots grant 50% status effect damage and duration to the next status effect you apply. So that's crazy. That 50% increase on the duration, speaking specifically regarding the Firefly, increases the amount of time that it blinds enemies for. Okay, that's the first one. And the second weapon that I'm rocking is the CMMG Banshee. I'm using the Sadist talent, and that deals 20% increased weapon damage to bleeding enemies. After 4 kills, applies bleed to the next enemy you hit. Now this doesn't necessarily work with the Firefly itself, but I'm going to show you guys why I'm using this bleed alongside a Firefly build. So let's get into the gear that I'm rocking right now. So I'm currently rocking 4-piece of the ongoing directive set. I have 1 piece of hardwired, not necessarily for this piece itself, but just because it had good stats on it, and 1 pair of Wyvern gloves. So let's get into the mask. So we've got 1 skill tier, 8.3 status effect, and skill haste 9.6 as the mod slot. On the backpack, we're looking at 1 skill tier, 7.9 status effect, and the mod slot is 9.4 skill haste. The chest piece we're looking at is the second piece of the ongoing directive, so it's got skill tier, 6.4 status effect, and 10.8 skill haste as the mod slot. Gloves we're looking at, so we've got 1 piece for the skill damage. Ideally, I did want to get a 2nd piece of Wyvern as the mask to replace the hardwired so that I can get this 10% status effect. So this one we've got 1 skill tier, 7.5 status effect, and the health doesn't really matter on here. I want to re-roll that eventually. The 3rd piece of ongoing directive that we're rocking is the holster. So we've got 1 skill tier and skill damage. And the last piece of ongoing directive is the knee pads. This has got 11% weapon damage, and this is mainly for the status effect, so 9.6 status effect. So let's get into what the actual ongoing directive does here. Okay, so 2-piece gives you 15% status effect. Now status effect works with a lot of damage over time abilities, mainly bleeds, burning, blinding, confusion, poison. Alright, so that's the 2-piece. Okay, 3-piece we're looking at is reload speed. Now the reload speed doesn't really matter on this one, but it works out okay. Now the 4-piece is the other part that works well with this build. Like I mentioned, I do have a bleed talent on my SMG, the Banshee. Now this is the reason why I'm using this. So we've got rules of engagement as the talent on here. Now killing a status affected enemy drops hollow point ammo. Hollow point ammo amplifies weapon damage by 20% and applies a bleed on hit. So every time I'm killing an enemy that is affected by the blind or already has a bleed damage on them, or any other status effect as burn, blind, confusion, etc., it affects all of that. Alright, so that's the reason why I'm actually rocking this set here. Now the backpack that we're looking at has its own talent, emergency requisition. Reloading your weapon automatically collects all combat resources, so that includes armor kits, ammo, grenades within 40 meters. So once you're killing enemies and whatever, enemies will get killed either with dot damage or direct bullet damage. So as soon as they die, you reload, and anything that was on the ground, including ammo, that's the hollow points, armor kits and grenades, all get a return to your inventory. Okay, so that's this one here, and the chest piece has its own talent as well. Parabellum rounds increases hollow point ammo damage by 35%. So that's just increasing the amount of damage the hollow point ammo is going to be doing for you. So it really doesn't matter what secondary skill you use. For me, I use the explosive seeker mine. So this one here, it actually applies a bleed as well. So it works really well with the hollow points. So just increasing all the damage, and it really synergizes well with the the Banshee that I'm using and the hollow points. Okay, so that's pretty much it for this build, guys. I'm going to end the video with a little bit more of gameplay just to show you guys how amazing this build actually really is and how underrated it is. Once again, the Firefly is crazy skill. Do not underestimate it. Try it out in your next group. So that's it for the build video, guys. If you guys like this video or if you found it helpful, definitely like and subscribe to the channel for more incoming builds that I do. I like to do the unnatural builds, if you will. Ones that aren't really used too often, and I like to experiment, especially after the explosive build video that I did a couple of weeks ago. So anyways, guys, like the video, comment your insight below. If you have any gear pieces or weapons that you think work better with this, definitely let me know in the comments below. And yeah, that's it for now, guys. Until next time, Infamous Trickster out.
Fuckers.
Give up! Infamous Trickster Gaming.